Hey fellow backyard boyers, Nick here. Today I'm going to be making a PVC slingshot. This is pretty much the same as the other slingshot I showed you guys before. It can be used, as a regular slingshot. You can also shoot arrows out of it. So what you're going to need to start is a 1-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe. I'm using conduit just because I like this gray color. I don't need to paint it afterwards. It can get scratched. It's not going to get scratched up or really messed up because the color is part of the pipe. This doesn't need to flex. In fact, it shouldn't flex at all. So that's not a big problem. It's not a performance problem or anything. What you're going to need to do is measure in 2.5 inches. So once you've done that, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be cutting from the end down to this 2.5 mark, and we're going to make sure that it's centered so that we basically cut this top section into 2 halves. So I'm going to do that. I'll show you what that looks like. So here it is, cut in half. Now what we're going to do is we're going to heat this top section up and separate these to make our forks, and then we're going to be heating up and forming the handle. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, here's the pipe. I've got it in a heating trough just to make this a little faster. So what you're going to need to do is just heat up this top section, and once this is hot enough, it'll actually start to curl inward. So we'll go from there. So here we go. Alright, now that it's hot enough, what you want to do is press the pipe together, and then you're also going to want to pull these two sides apart. So right now, because it's really warm, it won't really stay, but you will just want to start pulling the two sides apart as much as you can, and it'll start to set. Alright, so now that it's pretty much set, this is what it looks like. So we're just going for a simple Y shape. Now what you want to do is figure out which side you want to be the front or the back. Simply, I'm just going to take one side and make it the front. So let's just say this will become the front. This will be the back. What we're going to do is heat up just the very tips, and then we're going to smash the tip, but make sure that it's angled down toward the front. I'll show you what that looks like. Right, here it is. So now what we're going to do is shape the handle. Alright, now we're going to be working on the grip. Basically, we're going to heat this up and then hold on to it and just grip it until it conforms to my hand. So I'm going to do that real quick. Alright, so the pipe is now hot, so I take my towel, wrap it around, try to get just one layer, and then I just hold on to this the way I would grip it normally, just to get a nice comfortable grip, making sure that the forks are in line with my grip and with my body if I were aiming this. You just hold on to it. You may need more insulation than this because this pipe is very, very hot. You just hold on to it until your hand sets. So once it sets, once it cools, I'll show you what that looks like. Alright, so here it is right now. You can see the grip is fairly subtle, but this section really fits well into my palm. My fingers come around and they fill this grooves right here. The thumb comes over. So this is really good for a hammer style grip. Doesn't twist in the hand. Very solid grip. Now we're just going to close off the bottom here. So I'm going to heat this up and just pinch it. It's really simple. Once it's soft enough, you just go ahead. You just want to pinch this bottom shut. Alright, so here we go. So here's the final shape of the slingshot. So it sits really nicely in the hand. Now what we're going to do is work on the forks here so that we can attach a band. Alright, so now I've got this, I take a half round file. You just want to go and cut all the edges. You want to get rid of any sharp edges. So that includes the inside edges of the forks as well as this. You also want to round the corners. These top corners, you want to really round them off. So now that I've rounded that, what I'm going to do is actually put a groove into each one of the ends of the forks. So I take the round portion of the half round file and starting from the inside, I just make a groove. You want to center this as well as you can. Alright, so you see I've got that basic shape now. What you want to do is go to this outside and just really make sure there's a smooth transition from this side to the top. Our band is actually going to sit over this, and it needs to be a nice smooth transition so the band doesn't really wear down too quickly. So there it is. Now what I'm going to be doing is just doing this on this side as well. And once that's done, we'll move on to the next bit of shaping. Now that both sides are nice and smooth over the top, what we're going to be doing is cutting a channel along the side of each of these to hold the band in place. So you want to go about, I would say, well, 5/16 of an inch down with a full round file. Start on the side. And you want to go along the front side. Now when you're cutting into the front, you want to go fairly shallow. Just enough so that there's a groove where the band can grip, but not so much that you're going to cut through this pipe. I'm using this full round file just because it lays down a more distinct line. But we're going to end up finishing this off with the half round, so if you want to just use the half round, you can. And just bring this around the front. There you go. So now we take our half round, and you just want to go and really just open this up. So here's the one set. I'm just going to do the same thing to the other. Okay, once you've got that on both sides, you want to just go ahead and sand it. You want to make the top edges as smooth as possible. And then you also want to take off any sharp edges on the bottom. Alright, so here it is. So now we're going to be making our band set. Now we're going to be making our pouch and setting up our bands. So I'm going to be using duct tape to make the pouch and to attach the bands to the slingshot. So what you want to do, we're going to start by making the pouch. You want to figure out how wide you want your pouch to be, or how long you want your pouch to be. So I'm going for 3 inches. You take a piece of duct tape, you cut it to 3 inches, or however long you want it. You take that, you fold it in half. Use that as a guide. Take another piece of duct tape, except this time you lay your first piece down onto the tape. Make sure that it lines up with the edge like this. You cut that, then you fold this over. And you do the same thing. I'm going to do this 2 more times just so that our pouch is heavy enough to withstand use and it's not going to just tear. What I like to do is just sort of trim the ends, make sure that it's completely flat, and then I like to just round them a little bit. There we go. So now we're going to punch a couple holes in this. Alright, so to punch these holes, you could use a leather punch. You could also use a drill bit. If you don't have either of these things, you could take a knife, place the tip of the knife where you want your hole to be, and you just twist the blade around. So you have a nice clean hole. Just kind of take the loose pieces out. And there it is. So this will actually help keep the projectile in the pouch. When it's folded over, it'll give the projectile a place to sit. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut these, and then we'll move on. Alright, now we're going to be attaching our bands to our pouch. I'm using a 9mm surgical tubing. These 2 bands together, they're each 9 inches long, and together they give about a 25 to 30 pound pull. So there we go. What I like to do is I like to cut an angle into the rubber, and then I go and I pass it through one of these side holes on the pouch and pull the rubber through. Pull so there's about an inch that comes through here. Then I fold it over. Alright, to attach this to the pouch, I cut about an 8-inch long strip of duct tape. What I do is you need to actually put this under pressure or under tension. So I start the wrap by putting the duct tape on here. And you want it to be as close to the pouch as possible, like that. So then you're going to want to pull like this and then start wrapping. You can have someone help you, or you can, use clamps. All right. Once you've got it started, you just keep wrapping. There you go. And this will hold even when it's at full draw. So there we go. Now I'm going to do this to the other side, and I'll show you what that looks like. Alright, now we're going to be attaching our band set to our slingshot. You want to make sure that this portion of the band is on the outside of the pouch. So you want to take this, line it up, figure where it's going to line up. Make sure that you're putting it on the front side of your slingshot. So you bring that up and over. And you want to make sure that there's about ½ an inch on this side. And what we're going to be doing is you want to take your duct tape. We're using the same size strip as the ones that we used for the pouch. What you do is you lay some of the duct tape down, you hold the ½ an inch down below the groove, you pull as tight as you can, like that, and then bring the duct tape in and around. Then you can release the pressure, set up for another time around. Pull this as tight as you can. Put another layer of duct tape. Bring it around one more time. Pull this as tight as you can. And put down the duct tape. So there it is. So now we're going to go and do this to the other side, and then we can shoot this. Alright, so here's the finished slingshot. Now, the way this works is the bands will sit in the little grooves you cut, and then you draw this back. There you go. So now I'm going to shoot it for you guys.